Okay, so this is the beginning of a Xbox mod. I know I'm not fully done with the Megalodon PlayStation 3, but just taking you through some of the photos and then, all the videos I have done to document this different thing. So if you want to hop around on the video, I didn't realize I had 30 minutes worth of footage. So I don't expect you to watch all of it, but if you are watching all of it, thank you, kudos to you. But I'm just going to go ahead and post this. It looks like if you want to see some of the cool LEDs and stuff, that's closer to minute 20. I didn't realize, like I said, it was 30 minutes. But in this mod, I've basically modded this Xbox to fit in this ASUS ROG Z11. And it's been absolutely a treasure to do, and I absolutely love what I've been doing. I did have some difficulties with the motherboard, but then again, it was only a $30 motherboard that I bought from a woman who just needed to get rid of it. It wasn't working, so I was able to revive some things on it. The disk drive was not reading her games, but it was actually reading my games. So I instantly was able to get Mech Assault running on there. So I went ahead and did the soft mod exploit so I could run games off of the hard drive. I do plan on putting in a bigger 2 terabyte hard drive, but I'm starting to find that like the disk drive is kind of, I want to see the motherboard. Let's be honest, who really wants to see a CD drive go over this motherboard? So the point of this mod was to make it so I could play games off of it, display it before people, because let's be honest, I wouldn't mind doing this as a side gig type thing for myself. I might not do people like ask and request of me to do this to their console, but I might just go ahead and buy a few consoles, do what I have done if people have liked it, post it on eBay kind of a thing, and have a bidding war. But I want to make sure everything's testing right, everything's working right. So this video is just a montage of all the different things that went into this. And really this case right here has been fun putting together. I don't know if this video right now is showing it, but eventually I did get the front button, the power button, to be wired to the front power case. So you can actually use the power button in the ASUS ROG Z11's case. And it's actually pretty simple. You cut a couple cables and just solder them together and hook them up to that. So eventually I did solder those into place. I did get a Xbox multi-AV to HDMI because I'm not sure where to go about right at the moment for a HDMI mod kit. And as you see, the lights are doing what they're doing is because right now the motherboard is for some reason not working. And I know I was trying to install OpenZenium, and the big thing was I probably should have a lens glass. So maybe on a future model I will eventually put OpenZenium into another case, but in this case I wanted the original power supply for the Xbox, and also I decided a PC power supply. So this case does allow for an ATX, but I went with an SFX, which is smaller, and I thought, that's probably perfect for this case because I want to add extra cooling fans. I'm going to add later on you'll see in the video, a CPU fan. Eventually I'm going to have to mount it in such a way that probably nobody really thought of, but I'm going to do that to this case. I'm going to do the thermo paste to it. I'm not sure what's wrong with the motherboard. I got more IDE power cables because of this, and the more you add to the console, using the original power supply is probably not a good idea. You're going to overload it. So that's why I wanted a secondary PC power supply in here. And as I'm showing right now, like in this power supply right here, I have 2 wires soldered to that, And then this case does come with this particular cable, but I went ahead and cut it and soldered those two cables that match up the gauge of the wire itself. So there shouldn't be a fire, and that was the whole idea. Is I don't want to start a fire or whatever. But what else we're doing is we're putting two PC power supply females in. One is going to be installed by me, like what I got right here, and then the PC power supply is going to have that too, and then I have a Y male cable that will plug into it. So what's interesting is it'll be run off of one cable, but the cable will bridge out and power both the Xbox's power supply and the PC power supply, so I can add more components to it. And the other thought is I wanted to add support for the USB ports in the front. So I am wiring the USB ports in the front so I can utilize those. I've heard that there's 5 cables into it, but really there's 5 cables in the controller port because there's an extra yellow cable. So I have pictures of that. And I did successfully in controller port 3, because this case has 2 3.0s and 2 2.0s, so I was thinking, well, controller port 3 should be in USB 2.0, and so should controller port 4. So I'm wiring those up to it, and I did get a thumb drive that was formatted for the Xbox, 4 gigabyte. But you know, I'm not sure if really, you know, I was having difficulties with it actually transferring files, so I may have damaged that thumb drive in the process, because it did work for transferring a file over, so I could do the MechAssault soft mod exploit. So all the Xboxes that you see here have been soft modded. And then I'm explaining what I did with that Xenium chip right there. But yeah, go ahead and enjoy this video. Skip around. I have LEDs in here. They're actually used for auto, like your car, but they use 12 volts, so I basically use the 12 volts of the power supply to supply that. But I also plan on adding extra more cooling fans, like I said, because you know, we just don't want this to overheat, and it's a really neat and cool case, so I just want to add a few extra things to it to make it look neat. And so far, most people that I have shown at work the videos, they've been enjoying it. They're excited to see this in real life. But this motherboard, like I said, I had problems. I have fixed it. But I can say that when I have found that maybe my solder points were good, but the way it overheated and the way I had the hard drive, it dawned on me that the hard drive is actually shaking the case a little bit more. So as it's heating up, for some reason, the solder points must be overheating that, and the case shaking with the hard drive in it. It's just not helping. And it's smaller than I usually am. Later on, you'll see used to, because like I said, the disk drive in this case, I really want to not use the disk drive. So one of the Xboxes I did receive in the mail did have a dead DVD drive, but what is neat, you can swap the DVD drives out of each console. It does not matter, they will run. It's a big difference between the PlayStation 2, where they locked down the laser lens, and if you did swap out the laser lens from one PS2 to another, which I have experienced, you have to use a program called Lens Changer, and I think it's called 6.0B or something. But most of the fat PlayStation 2s, maybe the laser lens is working, maybe it's not, but really a PlayStation 2, you can run most of your games off of a hard drive. Now there's a memory card exploit, there's the USB ports in the front, which I get. Those are a whole horrible. It's 1.1 USB, so you're not going to be able to really run a whole lot of games. But it does work if you just want some games on a thumb drive to run. But with this, you can run every game off of this, off of a hard drive, and just download it from a DVD drive to it. So that's my plan, is to put a hard drive in there, and since I want less space from the DVD drive hogging up the space, I'm going to go ahead and make a shroud or a case that will basically, that disk drive will be where it's at, and then maybe the hard drive will sit on top of it with some, like, maybe some plastic of some form to hold it into that case. I haven't fully decided this project. I thought would be done maybe in the last couple weeks, but I've had to work long hours, I've had to do some other things, and sleep is very important, so that's why some of them are not done. I do have a PlayStation 2 mod I've been working on. My Megalodon's almost done. Everything's pretty much hooked up and all that. I just need the disk drive to be mounted, so I have to build a disk drive holder for that. I also have a Nintendo Wii mod that I will be showing, so I'm thinking maybe a montage video. It might be another 30-minute video, but it's going to display probably everything except for the Xbox, because everything you see right here now is from what I have done with this Xbox, and you know, it's been a fun journey. Right here I'm showing you the trace is gone. That was my fault. So I had to bridge both points, and in this video right here, I have the case on its side. I have my headlamps on so I can see what I'm doing. But it dawned on me while I'm waiting for this small 30 gauge wire that I decided to solder in. Let's go ahead and use a wire to poke and prod. And I was like, well, if I put this one here and the other one next to the other spot on the board, which I found where the trace is supposed to be, I should be able to just get it to boot up and it should be fine. So I did revive the motherboard. You will see it in here. What's funny about this video is I actually had to get my foot up there, and at this time I had the power button soldered to the button in the front, so it wasn't like I had a super hard time doing this. So both my hands are inside the board with gloves and a cable prodding on both ends that needed to be basically where the bridge needed to be done. So you'll see me putting my hands in there, and then also pushing my foot up against it with the button in front, so it should power up, which was a fun thing for me. So yeah, I see that it's powered up. That was my problem. I accidentally You'll probably be able to hear when I actually don't have the voiceover. Like I said, this has just been a montage, and it's been a fun experience for me, so I hope others could learn from me. I view that knowledge is power, and people should learn from each other. And in this video, you can see also I have a PC power supply. That's the SFX. It's not hooked up on here, but eventually you'll see blue LEDs and stuff of that nature. So what I'm pointing out is that little spot right there. There's a small solder point that's right there, and then you see another photo where I needed to bridge it, but also these bigger pins right here where my glove is. That's where the pins for the mod chip, so it could rest in there, needed to be. But where that solder point is gone, that I also still needed to be soldered there, apparently. It didn't actually get the mod chip up and running, so I haven't decided whether I'm going to go ahead and use a different Xbox at the moment, but I do have extra pins to solder in, so I could do that too. But you know, that was a learning curve for me. I learned how to solder on smaller stuff, because I'm used to a little bit bigger than smaller. So yeah, there's my foot, Mr. Happy Foot, and that's what I had to do, was put both of those there and tap it. So here you go. Here's the LEDs I added. These are actually ones I got at Walmart for a decent price. So they basically just stick in there, and then you have the option of hardwiring it in your car or using the little 12-volt adapter to plug it in. So I actually hardwired this in, and like I said, this is actually running off of the PC power supply. Here's another video of my solder points that I did, and you know, it worked at that time, so I was very proud of that. As you can see, I got it on there correctly. Right. So here's here's another test.
So far,
as we can see, so that when you're doing this type of stuff, you're constantly testing to make sure everything's going the way you want it, the way you need it. And I know what you're saying, I'm babbling on, but you know what? If there's something me saying that helps you out and guiding you, that hard drive enclosure actually from a different PC case that I was utilizing. I think it's from the Wii maybe, or maybe the PlayStation 2 one. I took them out because it's like it's not necessary. The Wii's only going to need one hard drive, or if I decided maybe a second one that you could
so in the meantime,
basically go between. This is my memory card I had for years, and at that time I had this cable hooked up to it, but now I have the USB actually soldered to it, and I was even more happy with the way that went when I soldered it. I'm not happy with the way the cable looked, but it is basically what I needed to do at the time to do the mod. So we turn it on. Here goes the Xbox. This is the one with the problem of that bridging of the cable, and obviously I got it running. The soft mod is going to be showing up, and I also love the way that you know, after I bought 3 more Xboxes, which I don't plan on keeping all these Xboxes, I'm probably going to sell 2 of them and keep 2 of them, because I figured, well, if one had a dead drive, the dead drive could go inside this case, and the other one could be a spare for just in case I needed the disk drive, or needed it to revive the other one for some reason. So right now I got the soft mod working on this Xbox, and I want to say this is a 1.1. I did have a 1.0 and a 1.1. I think I have 2 1.1s, but eventually you'll see in this video a 1.6, and a lot of people
and that's it.
Like that one because you don't have to take the clock capacitor off. So here's some pictures of the disk drive where I figured this is probably the best I'm going to have to do for the disk drive. Is mounted in there, and I'm showing you what I'm going to do is I'm going to Dremel off the access plastic. I don't need like those hinges or mounts. So here it is. Now it's flush. It should fit in that case a little bit better. So that's why I cut those off, is because it's like, this is a mod. I don't need those in there. And this was a working DVD drive. So here's the pin outs for a USB, and here's the Xbox controller. So yeah, I had to go back and solder in again. Here's what the case looks like too.
The top off.
And this is when I started doing the DVD drive without the laser lens, the spindle, everything. I started messing around with what do I need to get this to,
the hard drive here,
you know, be stripped down.
I don't like that.
It's a dead drive. This is not that drive you've seen in the other pictures where I actually Dremeled this stuff off.
And then you see
so basically in this video I have that in there. I don't know if I'm actually testing
what I got is,
but as you can see where the hard drive is mounted, that right there is one of the reasons why the cable kept coming out. I'm pretty sure is because it vibrated
But I was like, you know what?
motherboard
I really don't want a disk drive
on
in
the
here.
case
So
itself.
I was like, how am I supposed
So
to do this?
I'm pretty sure that's probably what the problem
I tore
was.
apart
So
the
I'm gonna take out
disk
that
drive.
motherboard.
They got rubber mounts on them, so
or
don't worry, it's not
not
going to
that
cause anything.
that hard drive
Ribbon cable,
and mounted
ribbon
on top
cable,
of this
and a ribbon
board
cable on the other side.
eventually. But this is the CD drive,
right
motor,
went to
spindle,
the yellow,
everything. Matter of fact, I
green cable.
got rid of the
This is
eject
for
motor. Here's the
ejecting the
eject
tray,
motor that's in the front.
of this
It's like,
disk
oh, it's a
drive.
dead drive. Some people
And then the
might
black
be
and red
upset with me
wires
with this. I don't care.
basically,
I like the information I
part of that
have.
power
And
also.
right where these four cables you
So
see, that yellow, red,
this cable
green,
out
and I think it was black cable.
and
So
got rid of these.
the black and the red cable I have
here.
twisted to each other, and then also the green and yellow. So notice how those lights were not flashing.
So
if I did not have that black and red cable
I
completed,
the USB
then
port
that would
right
be
here,
flashing.
the
This
third,
Xbox
I'm
would not be loading up the way it needs to be.
Loading up
But as you can see, I have the wires twisted and all that. This was just my beta test originally when I first was trying to see would this drive work, because if you turn on an Xbox without its hard drive or disk drive, it will not run. If you try to just leave the hard drive in, you're still going to run into the problem. You got an error message. So the thought was, well, what if I gutted this disk drive down to a point where you don't have the laser lens, you do not have
now the other thing was
the spindles or anything in it. It's just the board itself to basically fake out it has a drive in there. So I was able to fake out the drive.
I soldered this 30 gauge wire,
later on in a later video,
I am very impressed myself. I was able to do it.
See, I'm 21 minutes in already,
small, but
and
if I didn't do that,
somewhere around the 20,
I wouldn't have this running
5 minute, maybe 26 minutes.
This mod is going very, very
this video will go into, because what I did was, instead of those cables all over the place, I went ahead and soldered a cable to bridge the spots where I had them twisted off. So I hope one's learned that if your disk drive is dead and you just want it to basically boot up your Xbox, and you want to basically just utilize it for soft modding, and you have a spare drive around to put your games on the hard drive, this is an option.
What's cool is
it's not probably the best, because not everybody's going to like it, like I said, but
this is an Xbox drive for
I personally, when putting it in this ASUS ROG Z11, I like it a lot better with the disk drive the way it is now, without anything. And it will run without all the stuff. If you bridge different things, you'll be able to basically strip this all the way down. And the ribbon cable for the laser lens, you won't need. The motor, I've noticed that I don't even need the motor for spinning the
laser
disc.
lens and the spindle.
So you can ditch the laser lens and that.
Also right here in the front,
the front 4 cables, that yellow and red, black and green.
This is a motor for
you can get rid of those, but you are going to have to bridge the black and red together, and the green and yellow.
And if I didn't have that in there,
and then once you do that,
all the
viable to power up. If you didn't do that, the front button for the power where the green is, it will flash, and it will not let you go any. It might let you get through a couple times, but it is not going to let you go through all the way. So I wanted that little information in here for ones to see. I wanted you to see this Xbox mod. I am sorry that you see wires everywhere, my soldering iron, but you know what? This is the life of a solder man, and like hardware modding and all these different things. You have cables all over the place, because that's kind of what happens, is like you just don't have time to put things all away. So yeah, if you wanted to show the mod itself after everything is done, yeah, that's great. You had time for it.
Right now,
so now in this video, I guess we're coming to a close. In this video, I just got my Vitro CPU fan, and the thought is, no, it's not going to go in this case, but the case you see, that ASUS ROG Z11, I am going to mount this 90 millimeter or 90 mm cooling fan in there over the heat sink, so it'll lift up the heat from there and blow out of the case in the back. And obviously I got it, and it has LEDs. I don't think this is fully showing everything I wanted to show, but obviously in this video it's showing it's powered up, so I'm happy about that.
This is going into the actual Xbox mod I've been doing, so I've been waiting on this. And
yeah,
two of them actually.
This was a test, and now here's the spots I was telling you where I soldered a cable bridge in between those two dots.
Okay.
Here's beta test maybe 5 or 4 or 5, I don't remember, but here's the diskless inside the 1.6 Xbox.
The reason for it is this is a dead drive.
Basically what's going on here is I have that diskless in there because I figured it's time I should probably finish this mod a little bit. So
I gutted it out.
I have that in there, and I'm super excited because it was working very good. I didn't have any issues with the Xbox not working, so I don't know, maybe somebody else can elaborate more on this, but I did go ahead and do the best I could to do this on my own. So I bridged that point right there. I zoom in so you could see it a little bit better too. So I put a cable there, cut it after it was soldered in, and basically got that. That's where the motor for the disk drive to go back in, the laser lens to go back and forth. This spot right here, you've seen underneath in a photo where I bridged the two spots. So that's all ready to go. No wires all over the place. It's set to go.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
So 1 and 2 that worked out great. So hopefully this gives you an idea of what you could do with a dead drive. I wouldn't do it to a live drive. I would use a dead drive for it. So here we go. As you see, the light's not flashing. It's just running the way it needs.
If there's something goofy going on,
and
this light would be flashing.
I did use the DVD case to kind of cover that. I don't know why the video is sideways like that. That's
it should boot into
not what I was looking for, but as we can see, it's starting to load up. The soft mod now is running.
You still need one in there.
This is the 1.6 Xbox.
To boot
I don't know if in this video I actually show it, but there's a second video where
from the hard drive
it's coming up shortly. It's one of the final videos. And like I said, if you've gone through this whole video, I do appreciate you viewing it, taking your time, maybe be a little educated on the Xbox a little bit, and actually the disk drive was something
interchangeable. It doesn't matter which brand it is.
Like,
pretty much every cable.
Get this
IDE,
running.
That long strip right there, and the power cable that's right there is the exact same in every model. And what's unusual is I used to work more on the PlayStation 2s. You cannot interchange those laser lens, whereas on this you can swap out the disk drive. It does not need to be modded. It will do it, and I was impressed by that. So this was just more of a test, and I want to see if I can get this eliminated, the laser lens eliminated. If I have to keep this guy in, whoop-de-doo, it's small. But I would like to get rid of the laser lens and the spindle where the CD goes. That's called a spindle. So it spins the laser, the CD, and then this laser lens will go up and back and forth, but I got rid of that motor and all that. So let's see how far more minimal. This is just beta test. I guess you could say 3. The other motherboard where I soldered on, it worked, but I think the Xbox was either getting a little more hot than I needed it to, and the other problem was the hard drive was shaking the case. So I think between those two, the wire kept on coming out. So that's why, and I had to solder it in almost 5 different times. So this is the solder point I was telling you. If you see it looks like a couple big bulges. There used to be 4 ports right here. So I bridged it with a cable and soldered it in. So this is the bottom. This is beta test number 6, as I'll put it. I have the laser lens out and the spindle out. So let's go ahead, and I can at least leave this. And the last video, I'm using a DVD to make sure nothing, DVD case not to short out. So far good. Like I said, I don't get a little blinky light right there. It's all solid. What I noticed when I first was doing this, when the light was blinking, there's the Microsoft symbol. And now it should just go ahead and boot right up into the Xbox soft mod. There we go. So there we go. And what's nice is this one also shows your version. If you look at the system information where it says Xbox V1.6, this is one of the later models, and not a lot of people like it, but this model is not too bad. But as we can see, it boots up fine. So I might not even just leave it the way it is. So I'm starting to really like that. I plan on putting a different Xbox in that case, but it's not going to be this 1.6. It's going to be the 1.1 that I have laying around that I just got. But I got to do the thermo paste on it, and I have to clean that motherboard because that one is super, super dusty. And I am glad that that's coming together. The other thing that I've been doing is these are technically the controller ports here. These are technically USB ports. The only difference is the USB ports are actually 4 cables, and these have a 5th cable in it, a yellow cable. Now the yellow cable, from what everybody is saying, is just an additional cable for like a dance pad or a light gun or whatever. I probably won't be utilizing that, but USB-C and USB 3.0 does have 8 cables in it, so technically I could on 2 of the controller ports do that, whereas the other 2 could just be controllers, and if I need to transfer game saves back and forth. But we plan on updating a hard drive on one of these, and this has just been a fun little project. I might even hot glue that to this spot right here. I can touch it because there is no solder at all there. That was weird, but that should be all protected right there. So this has been a fun project, and everything seems to be working.